This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, hello everyone. As part of the OCP Ready program, we give the opportunity to a colo solution provider to present their facility to the data center facility project. And today we welcome Princeton Data Group, and we have Asher Ling and Damon Lim. Asher will be presenting their facility, walking us through the checklist and telling us about their Colo Solution services and about their data center, and that they're ready for OCP. So could we, Madhu, can we give Asher Ling the presenting ability, please?
Could you give the presentation rights to Damon,
Okay.
if it's possible? He has the slides and the videos for us.
Okay, thanks.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. To this very broad, exciting group of data center enthusiasts, professionals all around the world who are here today. I'm really privileged, representing Princeton Digital Group to be here to present our Singapore data center and also share a little bit more about what we have done over the past couple of years and how we're very excited to kind of join this OCP community and hopefully, play a bigger role in, advocating for more community participation and building the ecosystem here in Asia and in Singapore. Let me first introduce my colleague Damon Lim, who's on the call with me. Damon leads my sales and marketing here in Singapore and has been playing a very active role, in engaging and working with Steve Halvey over the past, I would say, almost 2 years. We first got in touch with Steve and some of the colleagues from Facebook. When there was an OCP day that really got us thinking about how we could be even more active, in playing a role in promoting this really great initiative and project. So myself, my name is Asher Ling. I'm the managing director of Princeton Digital Group here in Singapore. And once again, very happy for this opportunity to present. So without further ado, Damon, let's start. At the onset, maybe we can start by just doing a video, which really introduces the entire group and some of the data centers we have across the 4 countries we are in. It's a short 3-minute video. Hopefully that will do a lot of the introduction before I go into further details about our data center platform and also our Singapore data center. Damon, please.
Yeah, I just hope the sound is coming through.
Damon, it may be that the sound is playing in your headset.
Yeah.
If you switch your audio over to maybe your laptop audio, I think we'll get the sound.
I will give it a shot. Is it coming through?
No.
No, Damon, maybe you can just talk a little bit over it, hitting the highlights.
Yeah. Or if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Damon, can you try going to the website or something? That may help. And if not, I'll talk over it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually it's just music. Anyway, just let me see if I can try to figure it out.
While we're waiting, Damon and Ash, would you be
Mm.
sending the slides out or the link to the video if this is, I assume all this is non-confidential, of course.
Yes. The
Yeah. So we
the
go, go
the
ahead,
the
Asher.
slide, the video is on our website. I'm very happy to share it. And of course, following this, we would be sharing the deck that we've prepared for this. Um, and while Damon is trying to figure this, if it works, if not, Damon, why don't we just play in our voice over this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I'll let me just start playing the video, and maybe I'll just start back from where we were a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So, gentlemen, Princeton Digital Group started about 3-4 years ago in 2017, and till date, we already have 18 data centers spanning China, Singapore, Indonesia, and India. We're a leading data center platform company. We invest, we build, and we operate data center. Our services primarily are wholesale colocation and also retail colocation. We serve some of the largest global hyperscalers and tech companies. We also serve some of the leading global financial institutions, the Fortune 500 companies, and also certain up and coming unicorns, e-commerce companies. Um, as you see on the screen here, it's basically some of the various data centers we have. This one specifically that you are seeing right now is the Singapore data center. And it is a data center that we acquired back in June 2019. And since then, we have transformed it from a modular colocation data center into a hybrid system where there are still colocation modular data centers, but there's also very large scale hyperscale type wholesale colocation white space, and it has been operational since 2012, 2013, and now this whole data center is fully servicing all the clients that we've both kind of inherited when we bought the data center, and also after we bought the data center and expanded it. What we hope to kind of show here is basically a very big example, interesting examples of all the different infrastructure that we've had deployed. Once again, these are some videos of the infrastructure that recently we've also installed and commissioned. I think there are also a few snapshots of our Indonesian data centers, which hopefully over a period of time we would also be able to make them OCP ready. Our data center in Shanghai is a very large campus in China, and in that business over there, what we have done is basically converted a brownfield campus into a very, very large hyperscale type colocation data center, serving once again some of the largest hyperscale clients out there. And it's very exciting, very interesting, and once again, what we hope to do is to also, with the experience we have working with the OCP community here in Singapore, to share some of the experiences that we've had here and hopefully bring that to all the other data centers that we have across all the countries that we're in today. Yeah. So after this, we will be sending out the video, and maybe we can go back to the presentation proper, Damon. So a little bit more about us, if we could talk about this. We're a leading developer and operator of data centers, as I've mentioned. We are number one in the data center region by 2021. That's the potential that we have. And basically, across our entire platform, we have about 350 megawatts of capacity, 4 countries, 12 cities, 18 data centers, of which 9 are operating and 9 are under development and construction. This is the key markets that we're in, that we have identified at the onset that we wanted to be in, and we continue to invest into all these markets that we're in, and we would be also expanding it into a few more countries in the Asia Pacific market in this year and the years ahead. We are backed by Warburg Pincus, a leading global private equity fund, back in 2017, and subsequently in 2020, we were then invested into by Ontario Teachers Pension Fund. That was a 360 million round, and which Warburg Pincus again continued to invest into us. We started somewhere in 2017 was founded by our CEO and COO Renku and Varun, and I was very privileged to join them shortly after. And that was before we had any data centers, so it was truly amazing to see the company grow with a lot of talent joining the company, and also with all the acquisitions that we have made, expanding our business into the 4 countries, and also building a very strong pipeline of excellent data center opportunities in the entire region. We've also expanded our scale, as I mentioned, in China, in Shanghai, which is 40 meg site in 2018. And in 2019, as I mentioned just now, we acquired a data center which originally was part of IO Data Centers headquarters here in Singapore. And we also entered the Indonesian market in 2019 by acquiring and carving out 5 data centers that were originally that of XL Axiata, the second largest telco in Indonesia. And today, my colleagues out there are also operating these 5 data centers. In 2020, we had that major investment, as mentioned just now. And we've also announced one of a very large new build in 2021 in our India market in Navi Mumbai, and my colleagues out there are also now in the midst of the construction. Next. Damon, next slide, please. Here's a quick snapshot of some of the our PDG leadership team. We built this business as a platform business where at the headquarters, which is in Singapore, the leadership is primarily located here. And these platform leaders actually have very strong relationship with our clients and in the business. Some of them are telco veterans. Some of them are data center veterans, and have been in the space for a very long time. At the same time, each of the countries we enter into will be led by a in-country management team. Myself, for example, I run the entire Singapore business, and each of the countries that we're in are run by locals from each of the country, because we believe in this platform leadership and this cross collaboration and partnership together with in-country expertise on the ground, whether is it from acquiring the business to building the business to operating the data centers. Next. Here is a quick snapshot once again of all our portfolio, the 18 data centers, as I mentioned, in China. The largest we have over there is our Shanghai project. We also have 2 more projects in Nanjing and Nantong. And the rest are operational data centers. The Navi Mumbai one is the most recent one that we have announced start of the year. In Singapore, it's probably our most mature data center. And then in Indonesia, we have that 5 data centers that we've acquired in 2019. Okay, next. Just a little bit more about our investors. Warburg Pincus, they are a leading global private equity fund, investing and building some of the best-in-class platforms in TMT and real estate. I'm sure a lot of you guys would not be unfamiliar with them. And of course, Ontario Teachers Pension Fund, one of Canada's largest pension fund with a very, very strong track record of long-term investments and deep data center experience. Next. Our product portfolio, we primarily serve hyperscale data centers, within which there will be wholesale colocation. As you guys would know, we prepare the white space for it to be ready for our clients to bring in their racks. This is probably one of the most suitable for our OCP conversation that we have. We also do build-to-suit and powered shells in markets that have that requirement. And this is really where our capabilities to build and operate data centers and understand the needs of our clients really can come into play with the OCP various types of products and the flexibility to meet OCP's growth in this part of the world. Of course, there's on-demand data center. These are the retail colocation services that we do, from single rack services, colocation, connectivity, and other smart hand, remote hand services, and of course, business continuity offices. Next statement. Just why PDG and what we're different. We have a very unique combination of a strategic, sponsor and financial investors, very, very experienced senior management team. We have very strong relationship with our customer relations, which is evident on how fast we have grown from the point we started the business to today, in a short 4 years, being able to reach 4 key markets and 18 different data centers. And we're able to enter markets, and once we've identified the market, we would deploy capital and really invest into that region, into the market. Next. We just want to touch briefly on also our ESG and our sustainability strategy. It is very important for us to also clearly understand and the needs of our clients who really look at our sustainability strategy. So we have 4 key pillars of how we look at sustainability for now. We have strategies in each of the regions on the certifications that we need to achieve. Also in terms of energy efficient, which how do we operate our data centers to achieve the best PUE possible in that specific region, and to be highly dynamic depending on which the markets are going to be. We also look at renewables, ways in which we can source for renewable energy and sources, because we all know this is the very key existential thing with regard to data centers going forward. And of course, last but not least, innovations and technology. We're constantly looking at ways in which we can adopt, take on, and innovate technologies. And here is also one of the key reasons how we would very much love to be an active member of OCP and hear more about what all the various different manufacturers and members of the community are sharing with us. Okay, if I may move on to Damon next to talk about the Singapore data center, which is the purpose of what we're talking about today. Let me share a little bit about our journey a little bit more. This data center used to be called IO Data Center, as some of you would have heard of them before. When IO came into Singapore in 2012, they chose this location, and it was popularized as a modular data center back then, and it served some of the largest global financial institutions. In 2018, because of the divestment of some of the other IO assets, this data center was renamed and rebranded as DCSG, and the clients continue to be there. And as I mentioned, in 2019, Princeton Digital Group acquired 100% of this IO data center, and since then we have been taking over the operations, the clients, and what we've done is we have transformed the entire business to not just having modules in our data center, but also very large white space products that can serve the needs of our hyperscale clients. And I think over the next 5 years, PDG will continue to serve some of the largest clients in the Asia Pacific region, both in Singapore and also in the region around here. Next, Damon. A little bit more about Singapore. What we call this data center SG1. It is a purpose-built data center located in the Ang Mo Kio area, which is somewhere in the central northeast part of Singapore. And as many of you guys will know, Singapore is really a city-state, so all the different zones are relatively close. We're primarily nearest within the central availability zone of a lot of the hyperscale clients. It's 15 minutes from the central business district, 20 minutes drive from the airport. Great location, great telco connectivity, great access to amenities, and that's why a lot of our clients really prefer to continue to stay with us over all these years. Here's a quick picture, a snapshot in 2020. We all had to live through the very challenging times of COVID. And while we were living through dealing with COVID, The team was able to transform the business. As I mentioned, we were able to build up further capacity and serve some of the new clients who came in, and very, very large clients. And so as part of that journey, we were recognized by the Singapore Business Review, and they kind of awarded us a Management Excellence Award, Team of the Year. Here's just a small little picture of some of my colleagues that are with me. And because it was a COVID period, and so not everybody could also have come here to join us, but just really want to shout out to my colleagues. Next, also some of the certifications we have in this data center. We have the ISO 27001 and the SOC 1, SOC 2. We also have ISO 9001. And we're aiming to get our 45001 very shortly, later part of this year. So this is a data center that has been operational and is operating at some of the highest level in the industry, as you know. We also is secured by design, and so in Singapore we are compliant with our Monetary Authority of Singapore's threat vulnerability risk assessment, and it's assessed as very low risk, which is a requirement to serve financial institutions. Next, just a picture. This is a almost fresh out of the oven wholesale white space that we constructed over the past 12 months. This used to be just a gray space, which we've then built into a white space together with supporting infrastructure. On average, it's about 8.3 kilowatts. We can do up to 20 kilowatts with containment. We're doing a 1 meter raised floor, and it has very high ceiling. And as you can see, because of that, it makes a lot of the flexibility that we have here very OCP ready. We have redundant power in our site. As you can see, we have two substations on premise within the larger campus, and all our power and cooling is supported by our diesel generators in N+1 configuration. The way we have designed our new infrastructure is to use a distributed redundant configuration, which tends to be the more popular approach these days, and we have 10 minutes reserve on battery. We also have our battery systems and our PLC controls for our gensets, 24 hours fuel storage at site, and the entire data center is run 24/7, as you would imagine, and we have a fully staffed team, PDG owned staff here in Singapore that continues to run the site and serving our clients. Okay. Mechanically, I'll just briefly touch about it. The way we design it is we will have redundant pathways where we're serving the chill water. Our HVAC system is based on water cooling systems. The equipments are on an N+1 configuration, and we have designed it to be running on a chill water temperature. It's about 15 degrees chill water supply. But the pathway that's serving the clients are on 2N diverse pathways, and our crack configurations are on an N+20% configuration, meeting some of the highest standards in the industry. And of course, last but not least, they are all monitored by our own DSync that we've deployed there. And last but not least, when it comes to telco connectivity, we are connected with all the major telcos, with all the dark fiber lines coming to our data center. And some of the major telcos are all within our premises, offering great connectivity in our campus. I think that's about it, right, Damon? And so I'll just pause here a little bit and thank you everyone for your time. It's been a privilege, so I'll maybe open to some questions.
Yeah, that's an excellent presentation. Thank you so much. Hey, Mark, I had a few questions, but I'll pause if you want to have some closing remarks.
Asher, is there anything? Do you have your checklist, color site assessment available that you could just
Sure.
on the screen? Yep. Or Damon, can you just bring that up just so
Absolutely.
that we can see that?
Sure. Just give me 1 second to pull it up.
Yeah, and while Damon's doing that, this is Steve. I'll just make a couple comments about just the overall focus of this team since the beginning of them understanding what OCP is to now. They're doing some things, participating in communities and driving this type of mindset across Singapore without even getting this certification yet. So they're ambitious and they're great to work with. So far so good with these guys. They're really exciting.
Thank you, Steve, for your vote of confidence. And once again, we've been doing a lot of work together, and there's probably a lot more exciting stuff that we want to announce, in this data center. But let's jump right into the checklist on how we are OCP ready right now as a colo facility. Just to briefly walk everyone through in terms of white space, with about close to 70,000 square footage, 13 megawatts of critical IT. The telcos I've mentioned over there, standard. We have an office block. We have a loading bay, which is actually we're on the first floor of the entire building, and so basically anyone delivering racks can bring in preloaded racks all the way directly from our loading bay straight to the white space that you have seen over just now. With meeting rooms and offices, and this is actually only a very recently completed assessment. So Damon, if you could go down a little bit more. Okay, the first part of it, access. I think all the different access we have, I think it's very optimal. As far as I see, we'll pause a little bit over there. Because we're on the ground floor, our rolling load, it's all pretty standard. We've designed our raised floor to be able to handle 15 kilonewtons. In terms of ramp, I think we have some information over here. There's some ramps leading from the ground floor to our raised floor, but the gradients are pretty standard. And we've actually been already deploying some of the racks and almost all the racks, into the space and environment. There are no lifts and no elevators, so we can keep going down. Not to our data center per se, because we're all about 200,000 square feet of gross space all within the ground floor. For the white space.
I have a quick question for Mark, actually. So Mark, is this spreadsheet completely standard and it's only been filled in, or is it custom by each OCP ready applicant?
Yeah, each applicant, as you say, they complete this. So it's all the parameters selectable for each attribute. It's completely customized per solution.
But is the main headings like lifts and elevator, white space, ramps, are those standard, or those are also custom?
No, those are standard.
Yeah, absolutely standard, and that links in with the colo facility guidelines and the sections within it. So there's a link between the two documents.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let Damon scroll down a little bit more. The white space, the environment we have. And I just want to emphasize all these is not just say by design, we've actually built it and done it, and it's all live and operational.
So this one shows a 12 kilowatt rack capability.
Mm-hmm.
Is that including containment?
No, 12 is without containment. Without containment, we can do 12 kilowatt. With containment, actually, some of our clients will push it up to 20.
And it's the clients who decide if they want containment, or do you advise?
So both. What we do is we first present the white space environment to our clients, and depending on the client's needs, they then discuss with us. And because different clients have different requirements, then what we do is depending on their needs for that specific environment they want to be in, if it exceeds the ability for us, let's say, for example, if we see there's a lot of, let's say, 15, 20 kilowatt racks, we would then strongly recommend containment. And of course, for efficiency wise, because we are a wholesale provider, having containment sometimes also helps in improving our clients' energy efficiency. So most, if not all of our clients would request that we actually put in containment.
And you have standardized your solution that you offer across your fleet for containment?
Within Singapore, what we try to do is we keep it open for the clients, but in discussion with the clients, we do tell them that we prefer core IO containment. This it is not exactly the same, but it is fairly similar across the different clients that we serve.
Hey, Mark, I'd have a few more questions, but I'll pause here if others have questions or you have more narrative.
No, actually, I think it would be a good idea within the notes section against the maximum rack density to mention that you can go up to 20 kilowatts.
Sure,
That would be good info, great information for OCP users, looking for,
sure,
high densities. So, yeah.
absolutely.
Is there, you've looked at the OCP racks, right? Asher and
Mm-hmm.
Damon.
Yep.
Is there anything we need on the OCP rack side that needs to make it more amenable to broad interfaces to containment, or it's good to go as it is?
And Damon, do jump in, but my
Hmm.
view right now is because of the sizing of the OCP racks, we would need to customize a little bit more. But because we do have very good relationship with a lot of the containment manufacturers here in Singapore, so we would be able to customize for that if there is such a client requirement over here in Singapore. Damon, you have any comments?
Yeah, I'll echo that in the sense that most of the time the containment requirements can be customized to a certain extent. So typically they take a sheet metal and they try to understand the kind of racks that you put in. The color that I would add, I'm not sure if Mahu, that's the question, what you are leading towards us. If a smaller scale client was looking at more like a colo kind of setup, maybe a rack or two to start with, then that's where they might want to fit what typical colo providers would do, which would be like a 600 or 800 kind of rack with the side panels actually, because I understand that a lot of the OCP racks right now don't come with the side panels. So that's something that we have also shared with some of the members of the community as well. If we want to move towards a more uh, wide use within, say, like the small medium kind of enterprises.
Yeah, I think obviously you are doing this checklist to be OCP ready, but we are a growing community and we want to learn from you how can OCP make the OCP products more industry scalable. So if you have feedback for us, for example, something that pops in my head is there two or three standard adapters that OCP, whether it's the rack side or the data center side, should offer as a standard interface for better adoption of the rack and containers? We would love that feedback.
Sure. I think what we hope to do, Mahu, if I may be very honest about it, and Steve, please echo me and keep me honest here. I think about 2 years ago when we first kind of caught up and I invited Steve to join us in our data center, we really wanted to move ahead and be very active. But what we've realized is that the community, at least in Singapore, within the OCP community, is still fairly nascent. And so that's what brought us to want to take a more active role in coordinating and organizing this such that, at least as a first step, we can try to help bring together, let's be first OCP ready, and then bring together the community as much as we can and work hand in hand with OCP. And hopefully, as the months and the years develop, and we've get more feedbacks, we can definitely share with the broader group here, and we can look to, kind of improve this. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for your leadership. Uh, I have a question. What are the three big things you want to get out of becoming OCP ready? I mean, just aspirational or tactical? Just curious, what are the top three?
To be honest, Mahmood, aspirationally, the biggest thing on my mind why I first kind of reached out was because sustainability is really very big on our minds. And once again, we know how to build data centers and we talk to our clients, but we really believe that data centers shouldn't be so silo, and everyone has great experience, but because we don't always communicate that openly, and just it's the nature of our business. So when we saw how OCP had been driving the openness in sharing experiences, bringing the community together, which I strongly believe would help lead us to a more energy efficient and sustainable future. That vision was really something that first caught my attention. I think technically on the ground, we really want to take a leadership role, at least in Singapore, to bring together the entire ecosystem. Also, because through this process, we'll get to broaden our relationship with maybe vendors and other equipment manufacturers to also understand what are the latest technology that they're doing, which once again drives back to the point of being more sustainable and energy efficient. And last but not least, on the third point is we've also noticed more and more clients may be interested in it. They've heard about it, but they don't really have a lot of opportunity to test and try it out. And so what we hope is to kind of provide, a platform, a place, and basically something to say, hey, you heard about this, why not come and check it out and try it and see if it works? And really very innocent thoughts at the onset, just wanted to be part of the great ecosystem and do our little part to make our world a better place to live in.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, Asher, this is Steve. One last comment on that. So there's a lot of other data center providers in Singapore, but not too many of them. In fact, Asher's leading this charge to be involved in a community angle. So there's a lot of guys out there doing some innovative things, but Asher's approaching this more from a community angle, which is great to see, and it shows based on the relationships that he's forming across the community already.
Just a question, Edgar van Essen from Switch Data Centers Amsterdam. We were in the Netherlands, one of the first OCP ready data centers, and we set up this experience center in Amsterdam. After that, we sold the data center, unfortunately. So the experience center went somewhere else. But we are exactly in the same business as you are. I saw your slides that were like copies of our slides. So that's good to see. The big question I have is, do you see real customer demand already happening? So customers actually requesting your knowledge here, or is it just all pre-customer work that you do?
I would say it is still fairly nascent, and I would attribute that primarily to the ecosystem here not yet fully set up, because there are conversations and people do ask, Edgar, but at the same time we don't have anything to even show clients. So um, I think it's still a little bit early and nascent in this journey, and that's why we also wanted to take an active step to say, hey, this is available today in the market. If you want it, and here's what it looks like. Here are the vendors and the equipment suppliers. Here's how a data center will look like if it's OCP ready. Are you, Mr. Client, ready to be on this interesting journey?
Okay, and is your company supporting that from a global perspective? So also in China and India and other places, or is it still a local activity?
So for now, this is a Singapore first, Singapore-led. Singapore is our most mature data center, as I mentioned. So we hope to take a leadership role within the broader group, and hopefully then influence and kind of take this to the rest of our countries.
Okay, I definitely would be interested to stay in contact and see where we can share some learnings on, let's say, from a typical Western European player that has been there. Maybe we can share some thoughts. So it's good to meet you. Thanks.
Absolutely, Edgar. I will very much look forward to a conversation with you.
So Asher, this is Philip from Boyd. I would also look forward to a conversation with you. How do I get in touch with you, please?
You can reach me at asher.ling@princetondg.com.
Okay, thank you.
And what we can do is maybe after this, Mark or Steve, if you don't mind, you could send an email out with my email contact to everyone. I'm very happy to have further conversations.
Yeah, I see Damon just put it in chat as well.
Oh, yes.
If you can have that, you probably have it on your presentation slide deck, so that gets shared with the community after this call.
Sure.
Review period. So if you have it on there as well, then
sure. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Shouldn't be too hard to get me. Yeah.
Okay, shall we conclude at that point? So I know we've got about 15 so minutes left. Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Asher, for your presentation. This data center, meets the requirements, optimum in many areas. So so that's great. To have your facility being considered to be on the program. And so the next step is for this site assessment and the presentation slide deck to be sent out to the data center facility group, which I'll hope to do on Monday, and that go out for a 7-day review period, and then we'll move on from there. So yeah, well, thank you very much, Asher, and Damon as well. Good presentation.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Mahu, and everyone else. And then do allow me to extend an invitation to everyone on the call today. When COVID permitting and you get to travel to Singapore, if you ever are in Singapore, please give me a call. I would very much love to host you in this data center and to show you around in what we've built here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hey, thank you, Mark and Steve, for pretty engaging agenda item. I don't think we're going to get through all our stuff in 15 minutes. So maybe, Mark, you can use the last 15 minutes. You had some thoughts around a vision for OCP Ready and a 2-year roadmap. It's probably a really good segue into your thoughts in that area for the last 15 minutes today.
Sure. Yeah, I've put together a few ideas, and I shall bring that up here. So,
Mark, should we drop off? I'm happy to stay on the call, but I don't know if this is confidential, so it's okay.
No, it's completely open. This recording will be made publicly available on YouTube. So yeah, you feel free to drop, or if I know it's late in Singapore at the moment, or stay as you're more than welcome to stay.
Sure, we'll be happy to stay on. Oh, over to you, sir.
Okay, great. So yeah, I just put together some ideas about some future goals for the OCP Ready Facility Recognition Program. The leadership team are looking to create a roadmap for the next couple of years, and great to get some help from the DCF group on defining those goals and creating the roadmap. It's continually very important to revise and develop the guidelines so they're relevant, and also to make sure that the OCP Ready program continues to attract colo solution providers and is relevant, and so that they can gain recognition for their OCP readiness, and we can increase adoption of OCP. So we're trying to get some sort of quarterly goals mapped out, as I say, for the next couple of years. And first goal the goals for the third quarter coming up in July. First thing, I've got some housekeeping to be carried out. We've had some issues with the Google Drive, and some of the links are now coming up invalid. There was a change request submission form that was in the colo facility guidelines, which allowed anyone to submit suggestions on the changes that could be made to the guidelines, and and to the program, and to the site assessment. Fortunately, that's not functioning at the moment, but we'll get that up and running, and I'll get those links sent out to everyone, so that suggestions, as I say, for the goals for the roadmap could well be added via that link as a suggestion. So sort of the immediate goal that I've identified is around the use of RID or heat exchangers in the IT technical space. And it's really focusing on the data center facilities that are only using rear door heat exchange. We're not talking about a mixed environment of air cooled and rear door heat exchange cooled open racks, but where the IT technical space is only using rear door heat exchange. Because at the moment, we've got some exceptions within the colo site assessment where a facility is carrying out their self-review, and when it comes to air containment, the data center operator is saying, well, we don't have containment, but we can easily transfer the heat away from an open rack version 2. So I feel there's a strong case for us to allow this to become an optimum or an acceptable parameter that can be selected. So here I've drafted the change to the current colo site assessment, where the data center operator could select that because they are using rear door heat exchange, then it's not applicable. Similar that we have, in the section where we have the lifts and elevators, it's not applicable because it doesn't exist. So using the same using a sort of similar example, identifying this as not applicable. So so initially I reached out to the ACF sub-project and Don Mitchell and asked his opinion, and he's subsequently shared that with a number of other members of the ACF team, and at the moment we've certainly had one opinion to say that this is a valid selection, that it is okay not to have containment in an IT technical space where only rear door heat exchangers are used. So as I say, we've had some feedback from the ACF, and it's okay. But if at this juncture, does anyone have any sort of comments, views on this while we're?
Yeah, go ahead.
Madhu, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So my question, Mark, is this relating to OCP ready recommending containment for the reasons of energy efficiency, and the lack of containment is considered a best practice if you have rear door heat exchangers?
Okay, so the colo site assessment was created for forced air, cooled racks, cooled open racks. So that's the basis of its original creation. So we're looking to modify it slightly, which we've done in the past. We did this for main cubes as regards the height of door openings. We allowed a smaller clearance because it was demonstrated that an open rack could be, because of the open racks that were available to be purchased, to be sourced, they could go through the door opening. So we changed it. We reduced the height because it worked. So we're using the same premise. If a facility can demonstrate that they can keep an open rack in compliant, the electronics within it in compliant conditions, using rear door heat exchangers without air containment, and those racks are working reliably, then we should consider it as OCP ready. That is that's the proposition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So
There was another question mark from someone.
oh, you want to
Yeah,
answer?
but it didn't make any sense. I'm glad I had time to rethink it. Thanks.
Thanks, no problems. So that's, yeah, initially we need to change the color site assessment. The data center in question will be looking to present in October, and therefore we need to make the change, you know, say within the next quarter. So that's why I've put that in as a in that initial quarter as a goal.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah.
you are aware of there is a track under the rack and power OCP group that is entirely focused on rear heat exchanger for Open Rack V3.
Yes, but the mandate is slightly different. In this case, that you're looking at for OCP ready facilities, you're trying to capture heat from the rack and dump it into facility liquid. The rear door heat exchanger track in the power and rack team is looking at exhausting heat collected from liquid cold plates inside the servers and collecting all that into one massive radiator at the back of the rack.
It's actually both, Philip.
Yeah, and there's hybrid and there's the other one. But last week, I think, or the week before, I think the ACS decided to leave the heat capture track to the ACF team and focus on the hybrid and the first one, which is the heat exhaust, I guess.
Okay, that's a shame actually, because most of the interfaces around at least the heat exchanger would need the mechanical and thermal expertise at the rack level. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is for version 2 Open Rack. Yes. You're right, Madhu. Yeah. The ACS sub-project, they're working on rear door heat exchange. I don't think they've been working on it for version 2 though.
Correct. It's for version 3.
Yeah. So this is because the thing about the color facility guidelines, it's for racks that are sourceable, which the version 3 isn't at the moment. So we're looking at current equipment, and that's something just to be made aware of. And as I say, we have a facility that is demonstrating that this works, and therefore, yeah. So alongside the site assessment, I think it will be a good positive move to create some guidelines for the deployment of this type of arrangement within the color facility guidelines, and also update the OCP ready requirements. I've had one volunteer already to create some verbiage for that, and I'll be discussing that with Don, and hopefully I can get some bandwidth from the ACF team to do that. If we sort of adopt this goal. The other thing to mention, I think within the guidelines, it would be good to not only have guidelines for rear door heat exchange type racks, racks using rear door heat exchange where it's all of the same type of rack, but I think also where you've got a mixture of air-cooled open racks and rear door heat exchange open racks in the same IT technical space, because in that case, it's probably a good thing to have some air containment. But I'm going to leave that up to the experts to advise on that and to give some guidance around that. So that's the third quarter. For the fourth quarter, I think it would be a good idea to provide some ability for a data center to add some information about their third-party accreditation for sustainability, i.e., that they are carbon neutral, or they're accounting for their greenhouse gas emissions. And I think that there is a case to argue that we don't have anything really that's sort of directly related to sustainability, other than some metrics, PUE, WE, and CUE. So that's an idea that I'm putting into the ring, and also developing information around how a data center facility can measure their carbon footprint, and in particular scope 3 emissions, which which myself and my colleagues are saying that this is something that is going to be increasingly asked for by OCP users. What is the data center facility scope 3 emissions? Scope 1 and scope 2 are really quite, can be easily achieved. Lots of renewable energy suppliers now, but the actual, the sustainability of construction materials and the IT within the space is not being measured and being reported on completely. So that's the first quarter. I know we're coming up to time now.
Just on that, Mark, if I can pitch in terms of reducing greenhouse gases, we've actually just replaced our diesel generators fuel. We've gone away from fossil fuels and we're now using hydro-treated vegetable oil. So that actually reduces by about 90% the greenhouse gas emissions. So obviously because of the growth cycle of the vegetable oil, and then the fact that it's used in industrial cooking and then reclaimed and recycled. So it's quite a significant saving there.
Mark, do you want to continue this at the next call? I think Brett will be back and we could complete this the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah, Gerard, it'd be great to hear more about that. Would be also great to get some information about BREEAM and what they're asking, what sort of information they're asking for, because I know you're BREEAM certified. Let's be ready.
Okay, we're at time, and thank you so much, Mark, for organizing the Princeton presentation and sharing your vision. Hope to complete that discussion next month. And thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
See everyone. Thank you. Bye.